Hi, thank you, and hello. The last few years I've been obsessed with the idea of, obsessed with researching and learning about the lives of people and businesses that do incredible things in unexpected amounts of time. And partly this was a selfish motivation because I was starting a company and I wanted our company to do incredible things in unrealistic amounts of time. And so I wrote a book called Smart Cuts about my journey, and I want to talk about one of the stories in the book. It's about two people named Paul and Michelle. Now, Paul's story is pretty interesting. Both these two people had something very similar happen to them in the very same month, in the very same year. So Paul is a cheerful, burly guy who lives in California. He lives kind of out in the woods. And in January of 2010, he took a home video of something he saw in his backyard. And he took the video and he posted it to his YouTube channel like he did all of his YouTube videos. And then 6 months later, something interesting happened. A super connector, as I call him, named Jimmy Kimmel, tweeted that this video was the funniest video in the world. And then suddenly, Paul refreshed his stats on YouTube, and there were 1 million people had watched this video. And then the next day, 5 million people had watched this video. And soon, Jimmy Fallon was doing parodies of the video, and Cartoon Network was doing riffs off of the video, and the Gregory brothers had auto-tuned it. And so Paul was showing up on talk shows to talk about this hilarious video that he had done, which if you had an internet connection in 2010 and you lived in North America, you probably saw it. It was the double rainbow video. And it got about 38 million views in that month. And then millions more, if not hundreds of millions more, to the parodies. And in this video, if you haven't seen it, if you didn't have internet, basically Paul goes out in his backyard and he sees these two rainbows and he starts crying and saying, "It's so beautiful, and what does it mean?" And he gets really emotional about it, and it's truly marvelous and hysterical. And so this video went viral, and he had this incredible moment in his life where he got swept away in the public. Now I want to talk about Michelle. Now in the very same month, Michelle posted a home video. She lived in Florida, and she grew up to immigrant parents, very poor, very humble circumstances, but she loved art, and she posted a home video of her doing a tutorial of how to do makeup like Lady Gaga in her Bad Romance video. So Bad Romance was blowing up at the time, and so she kind of wanted to ride this trend, and so she posted this video of how to do the crazy googly eyes of Lady Gaga. And another super connector picked this up. BuzzFeed posted about this. And BuzzFeed has millions of fans, and they started reading it and sharing it, and soon all of the makeup blogs and all the cosmetics blogs started talking about it, and all the Lady Gaga fan sites posted this video. And she, in a very short time, got about 30 million views. So both of these two people had this incredible sort of viral hit happen to them that anyone would be jealous of. The interesting thing about Paul and Michelle is what happened next, and where are they now? After this very similar experience happened to them. Well, Paul has subsequently posted 1,300 videos to his YouTube channel. And all of them are fairly similar, but somehow his monologues about wild turkeys and him swimming in water holes out in the woods just aren't as funny as the double rainbow video. And he's kind of just sort of faded out. And he pops up once in a while on internet forums about double rainbow, arguing with people. Or you'll see photos of him wearing double rainbow t-shirts and selling them, and he's been trying to recapture the moment, but he just kind of hasn't. Michelle, on the other hand, is largely known as the cosmetic queen of the internet. She has her own makeup line with L'Oreal. She's built a subscription makeup and beauty supply sample business that has hundreds of thousands of paying subscribers every month. She has her own production company, and her YouTube channel now has 800 million views and 5 million subscribers. And so this is Paul. He's still happy. He's still cheerful and still burly, and he still lives out in the middle of California. But he hasn't been able to recreate this moment of success. His one-hit wonder really was a one-hit wonder, and he's tried to recapture the moment, and he hasn't. Whereas Michelle is on her way to becoming the next Elizabeth Arden or Estee Lauder, and she's becoming one of the most powerful businesswomen of her generation and possibly of our time. So the question that I asked when I heard these two stories and started trying to talk to these two people was, what did Michelle do differently? And this brings me to something that I started researching, which is the psychology and the science of momentum, and how powerful momentum can be momentum can be more powerful than just raw power. And it's illustrated by actually the same Eric Paley that Tim mentioned that introduced us as an investor of mine. He shared with me a few years ago a story of a couple of companies that he had in his portfolio, his investment portfolio. One company the year before had been making $12 million, losing $2 million. The other company the year before had been making $6 million and losing $2 million. And then the next year, they both were at $20 million and at break even. And they both needed to go raise money from investors. So both these companies at the same time were in the exact same spot. On paper, they looked exactly the same, $20 million, break even. But company B, the one that had been growing faster, got twice the valuation. Investors thought that that company was worth twice as much, not 10% more, but twice as much as the other company, simply because it was growing faster. So it illustrates something that psychologists know very well, is that we humans value momentum. We place an undue value on momentum versus sort of absolute numbers. We're more willing to make a bet on the thing that's growing quickly or that's rising fast than the thing that is already big. You'll notice that Paul, his YouTube video actually got much more, 8 million more, which is a significant amount of views, and much more play in the press than Michelle, but her hit actually ended up being more sustainable. And the reason is because of momentum. Is that momentum is not only an ingredient of success, but a predictor of success. So here's what she did to make that happen. So Michelle grew up, like I said, pretty poor. Her parents split up when she was young. And her mother lived on food stamps, and the only channel that she had was the free channel, and so she watched Bob Ross paint happy little trees, and she loved this guy. And she would tear out pages from the yellow pages so that she could draw and paint on the only paper she had. And she loved Bob Ross, and she loved that he taught people and that he shared his love through art, and so she wanted to do that too to her friends. So she started doing that on YouTube. First she started blogging, but then she started making YouTube tutorials of her passion, which was cosmetics and makeup. And when she posted the Lady Gaga video, it actually wasn't her first video. It was her 54th YouTube video. And it wasn't her first great one that went viral. It was actually her 54th very, very good video that she posted, but it was the first one that happened to go viral. So the thing that she did that was different than Paul is, other than, his was a very inadvertent experience. He had posted this video and people just found it. Michelle actually engineered this viral hit. So she spent time studying the algorithm of the YouTube homepage, where she realized that you needed a certain number of views and a certain amount of time to get to the YouTube homepage. And this actually probably reveals some of my viewing habits, because I think it's customized to things I've been looking at, Key and Peele, I guess. But she studied the YouTube homepage and realized the number of views you needed to get to the front page, but she also realized that they didn't update the homepage on the weekends. So if you managed to get the right number of views on a Friday afternoon, you could be up for 3 days. And so this is what she started doing, and she started doing this with all of her videos. She would make a video about something that was relevant in pop culture, trying to hitch her wagon to something, and then she'd post it on a Friday afternoon, and she'd try to juice her numbers so that she could get to the front page. She'd ask all of her friends to view it and to share it, and then it would be there on the weekend. And this is why, when she hitched her wagon to Lady Gaga, which was very of the moment, this is why BuzzFeed actually saw it, is they saw her video had been lingering on this homepage. They happened to see it. It was very much a chance encounter. It was a chance encounter that Michelle had engineered and orchestrated. So they picked it up, they shared it with millions of people. But then what happened next that didn't happen to Paul is when people watched Michelle's first video, they were recommended other videos by her, and they saw her backlog of 53 other excellent videos that all actually could have gone viral if the right person had noticed it. They saw those videos, and they started watching them, and they started subscribing. And she realized that this was happening and realized that she had a very small window where she could capitalize on this momentum to turn this into something else. So while people were watching her other 53 videos, she invested in a better camera, and she started making more tutorials. She started making not just 1,300 random videos trying to recreate what she did, but she tried to make bigger and better videos so that it could appear like she was growing as an artist, and that as people were discovering her, they were discovering her while she was on the rise. And she said that most YouTubers just kind of drop off around a certain time, and it's hard to keep the momentum. This is a pattern you see in a lot of YouTube one-hit wonders. She said that I had to strike while the iron was hot. This was her obsession, was to keep this momentum alive while she had her one shot as this poor kid who this was her passion and her dream. So then she did what a gambler might do, which is she parlayed her success in one area and made a bet in another area. She took her video success and turned that into basically got a sponsorship from Lancôme, the makeup maker, so that she could become a spokesperson. She took that and she used that to convince some people to start a company with her, to build a subscription startup. She used that to convince more makeup lines to give her a shot, and soon she's built this empire around her, what initially was a very small effort to make some tutorials for her friends. So what she did is she had potential energy that she'd built up of a lot of really great content that people just hadn't discovered, all of which had the potential to get out there and to make a big impact. And at the same time that Paul was doing the same thing over and over again, he did what a lot of marketers do when we talk about content marketing, we talk about inbound marketing, which is throw a million things at the internet. Make 1,000 things and hope that they stick, and sort of SEO by spray, and it didn't work for him. But what Michelle did was she worked smart. And this story, I guess, illustrates something that I found when I was looking for rapid success. I was looking for overnight successes in history. What you find is there actually is, it's a myth. There is no such thing as overnight success, that any real success that happens, that appears to happen overnight, is a product of potential energy that is years or a lot of time in the making, or someone using momentum to turn a small success into something very big. So we as marketers, we always hear this, let's make something go viral. Let's build up this big swing and try and aim for the grand slam all at once. When history shows, and stories like Michelle's and Paul's show, that the smarter strategy is to work on building potential energy. Because as Michelle says, you never know where exactly lightning is going to strike. But your job is to make sure that you have the momentum to keep it going. And if you want to learn more, I talk about more of this story in my book, Smart Cuts, and thank you very much.